Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement presented by 3Chi and Barstool Sports. I am your host, Robbie Fox, along with my co-host, Clem, and we are here for the very first, and I guess technically second, Ahsoka recap episode. We are recapping episodes 1 and 2. They put them out together, and finally, they listened to the Basement Boys, Clem. They put them out Tuesday at 9 p.m. This is the new slot for Disney Plus, at least for Star Wars.
The biggest and best news we have gotten on Disney Plus all year. 9 p.m. Eastern start time. Those bastards on the West Coast got 6 p.m. So they kind of have the whole night to, go through this. And man, it feels good. It feels good to be right. It feels good to actually make change in this world that truly matters. So you guys can all shower us with your applause. Roses, I'll take. If you want to throw flowers at us next time you see us, that would be welcome. I'm happy, Bob. I'm very happy about that. And the saddest thing is, I didn't even watch it at 9 o'clock the first
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. I missed it.
At the Barstool Awards, we were traveling up, doing all, you had the band practice, all this kind of stuff. So we're releasing this, probably later than we'll be releasing the Ahsoka recaps. But for, be the change you want to see in the world. I wrote a whole blog about how it was a great idea. The idiots that run Disney Plus finally grew a brain and moved it to 9 p.m. But at the end, I said, if they change the schedule back to 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. or 3 a.m. Eastern time for Ahsoka, or even the next big Star Wars or even MCU show, I take back all my good things I said about Disney. They're a bunch of fucking morons. They're a bunch of idiots, bunch of fucking idiots in the words of Dave
But you don't
Portnoy.
take that back yet. They're not that. Yeah.
They're not that yet. But they will be that if they do that.
Yeah. They need to keep it 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've been begging for it forever. I was also trying to explain to people at work how big this is for us, because it's hard to describe. Oh yeah, it's huge. It's coming out at 9 now. But I was imagine your favorite team only played at 3 in the morning. And you're I'll wake up at 3 in the morning to watch my favorite team play, but I don't want to. Now we're in prime time. Now we actually can have discussions as the episode comes out. I assume next Tuesday at 10 p.m., Twitter might be on fire. Star Wars Twitter, at least.
That's the thing, is when the big moment happens, which I think we can agree has not happened yet in this show. If it did, it went completely over my head. But if we have a Baby Yoda reveal, we have just an incredible episode, we have anything just earth-shattering in any show, 10 p.m., 11 p.m., that is when a show can truly take off. And I always bring it back to Game of Thrones. No matter what you want to say about Game of Thrones, the way it ended, when that shit popped off, not even after the show, if at 9:12 something crazy happened, from 9:12 until 9:12 a.m. the next day, that shit was trending. That shit was all over the place. And she said, you know what? If I didn't watch it live, I got to live with the spoilers. It is what it is. 3 a.m. It's I had to turn off Twitter. You're fucking trying to figure out a time to watch it. What I need actually is I need someone to step up and explain to me why 3 a.m. was the best time to throw this on in the first place, and how it was you did it maybe the first couple times because you're launching it and it's a West Coast thing, 12 a.m. I don't know, whatever. I know 12 a.m. Pacific is 3 a.m. Eastern. After years and years of these shows, and let's be honest, the ratings just kind of dipping. How is it now? August 22nd, 2023 is when they actually change it. And again, I'm not going to call them idiots. Not going to do it. Would never dream of doing it. I got to know why it took them this long to not be idiots. So that's all I'm asking. Trust me, we work at Barstool. We just had an award show. We didn't even know if we were allowed to promote it a week ago. I don't think people even knew if it was being streamed until the morning. Someone asked me, is it being streamed? I said, yup. I think that
I had no idea. Yeah.
Glass houses. Me and Bob live in a glass house. The basement, you can see clearly in the basement because there's nothing but glass around us. But these fuckers at Disney, they really upset me these last few years, but they're on a good path. Not idiots, at least as of now.
Now, as far as the actual series goes, Ahsoka, we got the first 2 episodes. I watched them the night of. We got back from band practice late, 11 o'clock at night, threw them on. I was thrilled with what we got in episodes 1 and 2. As a fan of Rebels, as a fan of Ahsoka, the character, her arc on Clone Wars and whatnot, I think we're going to be coming at it from 2 different perspectives here, because I've watched all that stuff. You haven't. So it's interesting. Were you a bit lost? Did you feel like you could follow? How did you feel about it?
So I went in all excited because I heard you, Ken Jack, I think Jeff D'Lo, everyone said, oh, this is great. Ken Jack said, I think they had the screeners too, and he's like, it's the best parts of Mandalorian, this and that. The way I felt watching these first 2 episodes is like I walked into a story someone was telling without any of the context, and they're just telling me about all these different people, these different characters, and everything that happened. And I'm like, haha, and I'm laughing, and they're looking at me like, why are you laughing? You don't even know why that should be funny. So I'm going to be honest with you, Bob. I have no idea. My notes are basically just questions for you from the first 2 episodes. So, and I do think I know for a fact I'm not alone. There's a lot of us that have not watched
definitely,
Ahsoka, in the cartoons previously. So we have some questions along the way, but it sounds weird to say for a Star Wars franchise because a lot of us usually were on the same level when we're watching stuff, new stuff for the first time. I feel like you guys had a lot more fun with this than I did.
We probably did, honestly, knowing all the characters and seeing them in live action for the first time. I mean, just the fact that we have a pretty serious live action sequel, big budget live action sequel to a kids cartoon that was on Disney XD is mind blowing to me. And it really does feel like a sequel to Rebels, like bringing in all the characters. And I don't want to say the audience is expected to know the history because they're kind of explaining it. They're giving you hints in the first 2 episodes as to how the relationship between Sabine and Ahsoka could have deteriorated since Rebels and stuff like that. But they're definitely rewarding the fans that watched all that stuff. There's so many little nods and tidbits here and there that I'm like, oh, this is Dave Filoni being like, this is for all the people that have been riding with me since the beginning.
Yep. And it's kind of like with Barstool, right? Like that award show last night. There are some deep old school cuts, the purple stuff. How many people are like, I'm an OG Stoolie? And it's like, well, when have you been on? Like, I've been with you guys since the beginning, since you guys were in the other HQ in New York City. It's like, oh, buddy. And they see the purple starfish. They don't know what any of that stuff means, right? So there is a whole other story behind it. So I understand like the difference in timelines. But I have to say, because my initial question was that little mural they had in the background. I'm like, is that from the show? And are all these people from the show? Are we supposed to know them already? I'm quickly figuring out, yes, very much so, and I'm completely lost without having know that. But again, they're walking me along well enough while also giving you guys all the little breadcrumbs along the way. I have to say, I did not realize it was a Disney XD show. This makes me feel weird now. Like, I guess it would make me feel weirder if I went back and rewatched them because Disney XD is what my kids watch. So it's like I'm watching a show that my kids watch, but obviously now with the live action and it being on Disney Plus, it does. I don't feel like I'm too much of a child doing it. And hey, listen, if you like the cartoons, God bless. I'm gonna go see Ninja Turtles for the second time in the movie theater because that's how much I like that fucking movie. So,
and hey, I saw that too since our last podcast.
You did. You did. That's right. It's right. The fucking soundtrack too. I was just listening to the soundtrack. AJ's asking to listen to Annie Up by MOP. I mean, that's how you know where we are, which is kind of a scary thing. I like giving that kid Annie Up into his repertoire. I'm basically just asking for him to become the truest bad boy of the neighborhood. So I think that's going to be the biggest takeaway, maybe from this year, maybe the previous year with the Spider-Verse and Spider-Verse, Ninja Turtles, and what was the other big one that came out this year? Puss in Boots, I guess. Puss in Boots is a little more.
Was that same style.
Yeah, same style, where it's like people are going to start taking animation a little more seriously, especially if you can then roll it into a live action thing. And it sounds like the casting was phenomenal based on what they went from animated to real life. Other than we knew Rosario Dawson now, but everyone else, it sounds like they just nailed it.
Sabine, Hera, absolutely nailed them, especially Sabine. Like Hera, I think is great, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead is like a great actress. Sabine, I don't think I've ever seen the actress before. I don't know if she is famous. I don't know if she's like a newcomer in this series, but I thought she nailed that Sabine energy. And even like, I understand people are upset that they kind of broke the Rebels team apart at the beginning of this just to bring them back at the end of the 2 episodes. And at the end of episode 2, spoilers for Ahsoka, first 2 episodes. At the end, when she's looking at the mural and she touches it and she puts the Mandalorian helmet back on and follows Ahsoka, that's a shot-for-shot recreation of like the finale of Rebels. So they did literally kind of just like loop us around. I get that. I do think it puts Sabine in a cool spot, like where she's a little more angsty, a little less charismatic, I guess. Still listening to like Japanese rock as she's, driving her speeder down the highway. I really, really enjoyed the first 2 episodes. Let's get right into it because we got a lot to break down.
I got to ask you one question. Go ahead. Are there anything people are really mad about? Is there like the hardcore Rebels contingency? And it's like, man, I am so mad that they made her hair half orange and half purple when it's actually
not like
magenta.
that.
There's nothing like that. We don't have any angry Star Wars fans. Because that's one of my favorite
I've
parts about
seen
the Star
some
Wars
people
fans.
angry about people are angry about the end to episode 1. So we'll get into that when we get into episode 1. I don't want to say I'm with them. I'm not angry, but I'm with them a little bit. Because listen, I loved the first 2 episodes, not without its faults though. This show definitely has like it's a bit clunky in pacing and stuff. It feels like Dave Filoni's finding his footing right now.
I think I might be with you on that too, as someone that knew nothing about Rebels other than the very high grade stuff. So we'll see.
So we get a crawl to open the series, which I loved. It's not the yellow scroll crawl; it's a red crawl. But I just got that immediate Star Wars feeling from it. I'm such a nerd. This is like the stuff I make fun of nerds for. Like, oh, they probably came when they saw the crawl. That was me this week. I saw the crawl. I was like, we're back.
My note is the text scroll made it move. It made it move for me, and I was like, all right. So we're gonna take this show extra serious now because we're starting with a text scroll. Which Sienna came downstairs and was actually reading. I'm like, man, if you're a kid that doesn't know how to read, you are just up the creek right now.
Yeah. And we see a New Republic ship, and they get a call from what they believe to be Jedi. But the commanding officer, is a little bit skeptical right away. He's like, there's like no Jedi in the world. What do you mean there's Jedi calling our ship? So they let him on, calls their bluff to their face. And these 2 Jedi, I think it's Balon and Shin, they just go on a rampage, an absolute spree, a murder spree, basically. They're Force sensitive, at least Balon is. He's using the Force and stuff. I think Shin is too. And they have weird lightsabers, these like orange lightsabers that we've never seen before. And he has a line where he's like, I'm no Jedi. They go rescue Morgan Ellsworth, the magistrate from Mando season 2 that Ahsoka put in jail in the first place. And that kind of lets us know it takes place right after that. And I think before Ahsoka meets Luke and has that conversation with him, with Grogu and Book of Boba Fett. So I think that's where we are timeline wise. The opening scene, so many people are comparing to Phantom Menace when Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan come in. I love that. It's like a dark version of that.
I was going to say the same thing. It was kind of cool getting the whole Jedi Padawan feel, but you're getting it from the other side of it. That commander, though, that is clearly a dude that just played the politics game to move up the corporate ladder to get to where he is. Because, I understand you're not expecting a bunch of Force sensitive dude to come off a ship. But when these guys are telling you they're Jedi, it's like, why are you going to fucking try 2 people that are posing as Jedi? You know that there's some fucking weird little magic in the world that you live in out there, the universe you live in. Why are you going to test these 2 people when you have a prisoner on your ship that people are going to be coming after? So that dude deserved to get his ass killed. I was like, kill that motherfucker right now.
He thought the Jedi were like Kumail from Obi-Wan, where he was like just doing magic tricks and telling people that he was Jedi. And that was the wrong bluff to call, essentially.
That was fuck around and find out graph, and he right there, met right in his fucking abdomen.
And I wanted to shout out Ray Stevenson, the guy who plays Balon. He passed away before this show could ever come out, so he's not going to get to see all the praise and love that he's getting for this performance, but he really is awesome. He's super intimidating, and the highlight of these 2 episodes, at least one of the highlights of these 2 episodes.
So that was for our friend Ray at the end. I didn't know who that was about, and I forgot to Google it. So thank you, Robbie, for breaking that down for me.
Yeah.
One of the many.
So we finally get our girl Ahsoka. She's doing a puzzle to unlock another puzzle, kind of. It's like she uses her lightsabers, makes a hole in the floor, goes down into this little cave, and in a very Indiana Jones-esque way, she has to like solve the puzzle between the walls, and a ball comes out and everything. And I love that. Even down to when she escapes and there's droids waiting for her, she has to like slice a couple up and then run. I think our guy Heavy Spoiler said like she's running from the fucking boulder in Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I love that even though this is Star Wars, we're taking inspiration from other Lucasfilm projects. Very Dave Filoni.
I saw that scene and I had it in my head, and then Sienna of all people goes, Dad, this is just like Indiana Jones, which I think she only made it about 10 minutes into Raiders of the Lost Ark and started doing something else. I'm like, that's my girl right there. And I said, is there a big boulder going to come? And I guess it kind of came in a big smoke bomb, fire bomb instance. And then the little trinket, I mean, it definitely has some Indiana Jones vibes, but I was also getting like, I was like, you know what's inside there, saying that? She's like, well, I was like, it's the Power Stone. It was a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy with Star-Lord when he steals it, right? That little orb.
Definitely. Definitely. And I loved that whole intro to Ahsoka. She goes and gets on the ship with Hu Yang, her droid, voiced by David Tennant. He's a droid from the cartoon as well. David Tennant, great actor. And Ahsoka goes to meet up with Hera now and tells her about this potential map to Thrawn and Ezra. So this is a big thing from Rebels that you kind of, I guess, are a little bit expected to know. I think they said it in the crawl. There's a huge battle, the Battle of Lothal. And in this battle, Ezra decided, okay, the only way I could take Thrawn out is if I take myself out with him. And with the help of the space whales that Baby Yoda saw in last season of Mando, they fly into like unknown regions and half assumed dead, but everyone's kind of like, they're out there somewhere. We know they're out there somewhere. So that mural on Lothal, that's Ezra's home planet. And that's like for him mostly. You know, it's these are the rebels that helped us in that war to basically prevent another war or whatever from Thrawn. So she tells him about the potential map. They don't know how it works. They're not super tech savvy, and they got to seek out Sabine. And immediately the vibes are like, ooh, you got to seek out Sabine. We haven't talked to her in a couple of years. Pretty familiar narrative arc, but again, I wasn't too mad at it.
Okay, so I had some questions. Thrawn death. Do we know about this? Did we see it? Okay, that makes perfect sense. Do we know Ezra? Who is this green chick? Do we know of her? Check mark, check mark. Hu Yang. I'm gonna say, based on what you guys have told me, he's clearly the 2 in terms of the droid power rankings, because one's our boy Chopper. Is he, at least, does he have his moments though? Is he a really solid droid? Because I need to know my buddies here. Who I'm going into war with and stuff like that.
Very solid droid. Fan favorite for sure. Like it's one of those things where it's like, if he was in any other era, he would be number 1, but he's in the era with Chopper, and Chopper's the fucking man. He's got the biggest body count out there.
Exactly. Okay. So I think I'm good right now. I think I have my bearings about me. The space whales, again, the space whales was very, very weird when you guys were explaining it to me. And it's not going to get any less weird. Trust me. If I go back and watch that episode, it's still going to be weird because I don't have like the years of context with the show. And I imagine, listen, to everyone listening that is like me and did not watch Rebels, you're in this with us. Don't worry. We're going to get through it together. You have the fucking Robbie is the Jedi Master. We are the Padawans, and there's 2 sides to this podcast. Like there's 2 sides to the Force. You're going to be okay. We're going to get through this. Hopefully this show is just as good as people say it's going to be, and we're going to all come through it slowly together.
I like how you wrapped that around to the 2 sides of the Force. That was like poetry.
You like that, right? It rhymes.
Yeah. So we see Clancy Brown, actually one of my favorite actors, reprise his role from Rebels as Ryder Azadi. This is a guy who he played in the cartoon, and they kind of animated him to look like Clancy Brown. He also does the voice of Darth Maul's brother in the cartoon. He also plays the devil-like prisoner in episode 6 of The Mandalorian, the first Bill Burr episode. So Clancy Brown is just a veteran in the Star Wars galaxy at this point, and he's leading a celebration for the anniversary of the Battle of Lothal. I think Sabine was supposed to give a speech here, but she completely blows it off to just listen to her rock and roll music on the highway. She has a cool scene where she drops the speeder and kind of like grinds under the security that is trying to keep her back in the city limits or whatever. And she goes over to the Lothal Communications Tower, where she has made kind of her home. The Lothal Communications Tower, we also know from Rebels, that was kind of Ezra's clubhouse, his treehouse, if you will.
So, first of all, Clancy Brown, it was really bothering the living shit out of me of what he was from. So I just looked it up because I didn't know his name. And he is the captain from Shawshank. He's the guy that goes on the roof. I think he's the one who Andy offers to do his taxes or whatever, and he's about to throw him off. So that was really bothering me. And he's the voice in the cartoon, and he's awesome in the show. And he's one of that guy. He's also in apparently Nightmare on Elm Street. I was too big of a pussy to really watch it, but I'm sure there's the horror fans out there that truly love that stuff. I love on this day several years ago. Like they're not giving us any exact date. Like who the fuck says several years ago on an anniversary date? I thought that was hilarious.
He also does the voice of Mr. Krabs. That's a fun fact for you.
Oh, wow. That is a fun fact. How does that not show up in his IMDb is known for? His
I
top
know. For
4.
like me, that's his number one thing.
That's such a fucking casual thing. Oh, yeah. And by the way, Mr. Krabs. No big deal.
So Sabine goes up to the communications tower. She has a message from Ezra that she goes and rewatches. She's clearly missing him a lot. She was being trained to be a Jedi by both Ezra and his master Kanan. So they were very much teaching her. She was never Force sensitive, so that was always a weird thing. She was also, this is huge for Mandalorian fans. If you don't know this, the person that initially gave our girl Bo-Katan the Darksaber.
Oh,
so the Darksaber came into Sabine's hands, and she kind of felt like, I'm not worthy of this. Like, this probably should go to you. And she gave it to Bo-Katan, starting the supposed curse, because it wasn't given through the way it's supposed to start and whatnot. We get introduced to a figure named Marek, a new character. He's got a mask on. He's got an Inquisitor lightsaber, and he's working with the bad guys. Then we see Ahsoka land on Lothal. Sabine boards the ship. Relationship has gone a bit south. Seems like at the end of Rebels, when she was like, I'm going to train you to be a Jedi, that somehow they went their separate ways. That somehow did not work out. And she looks at her old bunk. She's got her drawings everywhere. That was a big thing about Sabine, always drawing, graffiti, stuff like that.
A doodler.
I thought,
a doodler, if you may.
A total doodler. I thought one day maybe she would paint Mando's armor to look like, every Mandalorian has like colors, but Mando's all shiny. I thought maybe one day we'll get her to paint it like green, like Grogu colors or something. I think that'd be cool.
That would be dope. That would be cool. That would be very cool. So, by the way, Sabine Wren, that's a Star Wars name. Like, I heard that, and I was like,
yeah,
yep, you guys done did it again.
Yeah. Hu Yang
also,
breaks down.
I had
Balon.
no idea. I had no idea. Like, the whole Mandalorian thing threw me completely off because she doesn't have her helmet.
Yeah, she's a Mando.
So I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here with and the relationship? So tell me and the other people who don't know, like, was there always like a, hey, these two like hit it off all right, and then they'd have like, an argument and separate? Like, was it a consistent back and forth with them during like the training and all that shit?
They were always, from what I remember, they were always good. They were always like very friendly. So
this was
a total off-screen thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Which that did annoy some people. They were like, you took this group who was so friendly and almost bubbly with each other, and now they're a little standoffish.
So I feel like there's probably a better chance that people are a little more upset if they know it. Because me, I'm just like, all right, I could see Ahsoka being a little tough, where maybe on her people, on her Padawans or people she's training. And let's be honest, Sabine, she seems like the bad girl. She's the girl that breaks your heart at the end of, it's a little summer love, breaks your heart, maybe takes your wallet and just goes on her little speeder or runs away. So I could definitely see a little bit of a problem there. By the way, I'm just going to ask these right now before we kill it. What is Ahsoka? What is she? What is she do we know her race? Like, what is this?
Oh, yeah. I should know this off the top of my head. But Ahsoka Tano is a Togruta. That's right. Togruta. Which looks a lot like a Shakti Togruta, but isn't quite Shakti. Shakti has like different horns. She's in Revenge of the Sith, gets killed in that like cool environment as well.
So I was wondering, Sienna said they're horns, and I didn't know if they were horns or like if they were
like horns, hair type.
Yeah,
like,
I don't. Yeah. Okay. And
they fixed them in this, I think. Like, they looked okay in The Mandalorian, but they were a little too short. And in this, they look proper long, because that's the other thing. Like, when you're a young Togruta, you have very short ones, and then they grow as time goes on.
And then here it says her homeworld was Shili, but she was raised on Coruscant, which I guess that's with the
Anakin
and stuff like that. Okay, so that makes sense. And in terms of Jedi, what are we looking at? 1 to 10 in terms of Jedi powers. 1 being, me, 10 being fucking, Anakin at his fucking absolute zenith or something like that. Or Master Yoda. What are we dealing at with her?
Probably, like, at her peak, probably a 9. Like, she was really close. Yeah, she has this fight with Vader in Rebels, the one that they mirror in Obi-Wan, where she cuts Vader's helmet and you could see Anakin's eye through it. And she goes toe-to-toe with him. I mean, she has to get saved eventually. She gets saved by Ezra. It's a world between worlds thing. That's a whole thing that we're going to have to get into at some point on this show.
Boy.
The world between worlds is a place in the Star Wars galaxy where like time and space don't exist. So you could go through a door and just wind up in the Phantom Menace or something. That will probably break some minds, present company included. But yeah, we'll get into that at a later time because we don't have to do that episode 1 or 2.
Do you see the glasses coming off, Bob? I'm rubbing the eyes.
Glasses are coming off.
Like, do the space whales have anything to do with the world between worlds? Because I'm telling you, this is a lot. This is a lot to take in. I feel like I'm being unplugged from the Matrix and being told about my world, and it's just too much for me to handle. Like, we're losing him. Like, my heart rate is going up. The world between worlds and space whales. Oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll get through. Again, we're going to get through this together, everybody. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be fine.
I'm not even going to get into the planet where there are physical beings that embody the Force and represent the Force. We'll get into that.
Oh, gosh. Okay, good.
Hu Yang breaks down Balon and Shin's lightsaber details, and it seemed reminded me of the Dark Knight. This is our weekly Dark Knight reference on the podcast. Yes. When they break down the bullet, like all the bullet shells and what gun they from, that's what this reminded me of. And Balon, they think, is a disgraced Jedi. Hu Yang like recognizes his lightsaber hilt. So he's like, I think this is like a Clone Wars era Jedi hilt. Another disgraced Jedi left the temple. It's tough. Hopefully he's not one of those fucking kids that Anakin tried to, again, I don't think the timeline on that would line up. But we just can't go through that again.
For the people listening or not watching YouTube, when Robbie talks about disgraced Jedi, it's like he is so just like I hate these people. Like, oh, I can't believe you turn your back on the Jedi. You are like a fucking like a parent talking about the black sheep of their family. Like, oh yeah, another one of these guys. Oh,
I hate to make this comparison, especially about myself, but it's almost the Scientology thing. Like, you leave us, we're coming after you. So Ahsoka tells Sabine about this whole puzzle ball and the potential map to Ezra and Thrawn. And she says, listen, it's just very, very fragile and we need it here. So whatever you do, just don't leave the ship with it, okay? Of course, she fucking leaves the ship with it. She brings it back to the communications tower. Ahsoka at this point tells Hera she feels like a failure for failing Sabine in her training. She references leaving Anakin before her training was complete. She was actually in the Clone Wars framed for a fucking bombing on the Jedi Temple. It was a whole thing, and she had to leave the Jedi Order. She realized their corruption before everyone else did, essentially. She was like, I'm fucking out of here, and has a famous line like, I am no Jedi, which is kind of, mirrored with Balon in the beginning. So as soon as Sabine opens the puzzle ball, Shin ambushes her because she had one of those probe droids, Phantom Menace style, to go check her out. And she kills a couple droids right away with Ezra's lightsaber. She grabs Ezra's lightsaber or whatever. And then she goes to fight Shin. She gets stabbed in the stomach right away. Ahsoka shows up, episode over. This is something some people had an issue with, and I'm sort of with them. I'm tired of seeing people get stabbed by lightsabers and being fine. We just don't need that. And it's not show ruining. It didn't really piss me off. It's just like, I know she ain't dead, but we're just going to do this again. We did it in Obi-Wan with the Inquisitor, the Grand Inquisitor. He got stabbed a couple times and people were like, well, he's got multiple stomachs, his race. He only got stabbed through one stomach. Qui-Gon Jinn has to be watching this like, what the fuck? Why did I die? Qui-Gon got stabbed. 2 seconds later, Darth Maul got chopped in half and he came back.
Which of these two guys survives? And you show Darth Maul chopped in half, and I'm gonna do it Robbie style. Qui-Gon gets a fucking little hole in his belly, no big deal. That is apparently the least fatal injury in the Star Wars universe. Because I remember when this happened in what was that? Was that
in Obi-Wan?
Obi-Wan. I'm sorry. Yeah, and I was like, wait, Robbie, did I miss something as a Star Wars fan? When did this become a non-fatal? That was the most like, oh, this person is dead back in the day.
Yeah.
Felt like. And now I wrote it. I said, I didn't see a death coming. And again, I didn't know anything about Sabine Wren when I woke up this morning. And now I'm just like, oh shit, like she must not have been a big character because she's clearly dead. And then,
and then in the next episode, she's fucking fine. Like, complete, like, not even in a coma, not even like, oh my God, is she going to make it? Like, she's just like eating fucking green jello in her hospital bed and she's fine.
They didn't even put her on the injured list in baseball, like the 10-day.
Yeah.
They just are like, no, like she's day to day. The DTD was next to her name in the fantasy list.
Questionable, right?
Yeah,
You get the cue.
She was questionable, and like 3 days later, she's probably probable. What the fuck are we talking about?
She's fucking hacking droids and shit. Yeah, like So that again,
she might be stronger.
But like
she might be stronger after she's like, I'm aerodynamic now. I have a hole in my body.
Why not just have like Ahsoka show up like she did at the end? Her ship kind of comes in and Shin has to run away. Why not just have her do that before the lightsaber stab? I don't know.
Yeah.
That was from the 2 episodes. That was the thing I took the biggest issue with, which I'm like, if that's my biggest issue, that's not a crazy big issue.
Yep.
Before we get into episode 2, let's tell everyone about Game Time, the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports, created by fans for fans. Game Time is the ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, and they also guarantee the lowest price. Football season's coming up. We both got, Giants, Commanders, our teams. Commanders this year, undefeated so far, look pretty damn good. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling good about this year.
Sam Howell. Maybe the Basement Boys will make a trip to Washington. We'll go see Sam Howell take on the G-Men at some point.
Or is Washington coming to MetLife? They are, right? They usually do.
I'm saying road trip here. We'll go road. I've been
to. I've actually never been to Washington, and I wouldn't go with Dan Snyder. So now we're free.
I said I'll never go to Madison Square Garden as long as James Dolan owns the Knicks. I'll never go for a basketball game. I can't make my wife miss a concert she wants to go to.
No,
but we go to DC. We check out the I've been to the stadium. It's all right.
FedEx Field, is it called still?
Yes. I don't know if it still is. I think it is. I think it's still FedEx Field. So now that Dan Snyder is gone, Robbie can go and see the Commanders. Let's not even go to a Giants game. We'll go to a game so I can like kind of root for you guys.
So you root with us. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And what do they say? Like left hand in the air. I love that stupid song so much. I love stupid things like that. It's so much better when it's so bad. It's good. So we're going to do that. The Basement Boys road trip.
Game Time's going to hook it up. Everything's possible with the Game Time app. The biggest last-minute price drops can be found on the seats you never thought you could buy. And the purchase process just takes 2 taps and 10 seconds. Once you buy your tickets, they're delivered directly to your phone, no printer needed. And the app also allows you to easily share tickets with your friends via text, so you can get into the game seamlessly. If someone's going to be late or someone wants to go grab food before the game, text them their ticket, just meet them there. Skip the hassle, enjoy the moment. Download the Game Time app or go to their website. Enter your email and then redeem code MMB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Game Time really is the best. Super easy to use. Great prices. So go check that out. Game Time. Pup Punk also kind of going on tour this summer. I don't know if you can buy tickets to us on Game Time, but check it out. See if you can.
No big deal. Casual mentioning of a tour date. That's my guy.
What did you think of Pup Punk at the awards? We played everyone up like a late night band. Were we okay? We fucked up a couple songs, but we felt like overall it went okay.
No, it was great. It really because you're going in between like obviously the jokes and all the stuff with the people winning, and the songs were just perfect every single time. Just A+ songs going up. The little like mini concert we had between him was awesome. Pat Bev just rocking out with his boy Rome was absolutely fantastic.
I love he was an MVP of the night, Pat Bev, like a dark horse. Yeah. I know Nate was the MVP of the night, unquestionably, but Pat Bev was the dark horse MVP because between him filming his little presentation with Roan where he was sipping on a high noon through a straw and everything, and then him telling Nate to calm down during his roast was so goddamn funny. Pat Bev, all-time great example of like athlete that buys into Barstool.
100%. And that is one of those guys, like at least in New York, we haven't seen him around as much. I've seen him in Chicago and he clearly has their relationship. When he was at the awards, he's like, hey, Eddie, which is one of my Pat Bev Eddie combo is one of my favorite things in the world. So seeing that all go down. And it's funny because when Pat Bev first came, it's like he just had the podcast doing his thing. It's whatever. I guess that's just the kind of thing he's going to do. And it's the complete opposite. Once he's around and everyone getting under
the second he got traded to the Bulls and got to go into the Chicago office, it was like from there on, it was all bets are off.
A family member basically. And then I saw Kate tweet and she's like, I shared a table with Pat Bev tonight. I'm telling you, it was like, he's like the best dude in the world. It was so much fun. And I'm like, damn, I wish I had gotten to meet Pat Bev. Hopefully now the Knicks could trade for him and we could get some Knicks love here. Now the fact he's with Roan and the Sixers,
kill Roan.
It would kill Roan deserves to die a little inside for all the little pranks and shenanigans he pulls on us. So yeah, it was great about Punk. The only thing that I did not like about the band, I'm going to be honest about this. There was one thing I was very upset about. me and my boy Robbie were supposed to be at the same table. Everything was set up like wedding tables. You had all the names together. And I see me. I got Hubs, Vibs, Kelly Keegs. And then I see the Rocket, Carabas, right? He's at our table, fresh back at Barstool. And I'm like, all right, let's rock, baby. And then there's a couple seats open. And I'm like, and Jared goes, yeah, Robbie's going to be on stage. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Like, he's not going to sit down at all. So it did kind of hurt. That was my only problem is like, let the bands come and hang out with the boys for a little bit.
Yeah. It was nice, though. Thanks to everyone that came. Got to meet a couple of Basement Boys there. Our guy Sam Lauderdale was there. He's wearing his Basement Boys shirt. I loved that.
That's my guy Sam, man. Sam the GOAT basement boy right now. We're gonna give him the basement boy of the week. He's the current GOAT basement boy. That can change. So you guys want to, do
title holder or something.
Yeah. You go to the show rocking the.
I know our guy Frank also just sent us gifts, by the way, and he might overtake Sam with those gifts. We'll see. I haven't opened the gift.
We have to go. That they were sent, and I was like, we're both not going to be in office this week.
I know,
but we'll get there. It's going to be fun.
All right, let's get into episode 2 of Ahsoka. So again, at the beginning of the episode, Sabine's just fucking fine. She's in the hospital bed, but she's been worked on by some medic droids, and it seems like there was no even worry that she was going to pass away from that lightsaber stab. And Ahsoka hears what I think are her nightmares. I don't know if they're just her thoughts or her nightmares, but heavy spoilers seems to think maybe this indicates Sabine starting to become strong with the Force. If Ahsoka's able to read that from her, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I don't know if Ahsoka is strong enough to read thoughts from people that aren't one with the Force or whatnot. But the professor goes and tells Sabine, listen, Ahsoka or not, whatever you got to do, you should kind of like continue your training. He kind of gives her like a speech where he's like, fucking just do it.
Just do it. Get out there. I would have loved like Filoni maybe in like I guess you can't do it with this season. In the future, be like, oh yeah, you had a cancerous tumor and the lightsaber like destroyed it, and it actually made you more healthier than you've ever been in your life. The hole in your body, don't worry, we have like a spray and everything's fine.
Yeah.
But that between the end of the episode and then the beginning of the next one, when I learned she was alive, that was like what the fuck is going on here right now? Don't you guys be doing this to me? And I have to ask this question too, even though he was not on screen. I just have to ask it right off the bat. Is Ezra potentially in a million years on the sus list? He can't be on the sus list, right? Oh, I see that face, Bob.
He's on the sus list.
Oh,
unfortunately, it's not. I don't think it's his fault. I love Ezra. Listen, I love Ezra Bridger. Great character. Fantastically written. And I love the actor that they cast to play him in live action. We only saw him in hologram form, but I think visually he looks perfect. This guy Marek wearing the mask really worries me, and he worries a bunch of people. Our guy Heavy Spoilers again brought this up. He's working for someone that we now know. Balon and Shin go and they go to this monument or whatever with that lady Ellsworth.
Yeah,
Magistrate Ellsworth. We find out she's a Night Sister, which is the Star Wars equivalent of a witch. There's that crazy witch magic, that green witch magic, Scarlet Witch style almost, or Agatha style, where I think there is a chance Ezra is under some kind of mind control working for her. There's a chance. I don't think Ezra, he's not the kind of character that would ever turn bad. He wouldn't heel turn and just be like, fuck Ahsoka now. If this character, Marek, is Ezra, it's beyond his control, and he's being brainwashed.
It's straight up Return of the King. I guess we don't really talk Lord of the Rings here on the pod, especially a Star Wars pod. So
there's only one return.
Yeah, just basically think of a character who's under a trance or something like that.
Yeah,
that's just how it's
Hawkeye and Avengers.
There we go. Perfectly well done, Rob. Way to steer me out of the skid there.
I pulled that one out of Thanos's Ant-Man ass.
Because this is the thing. I'm seeing all these like holograms and like, oh, Ezra and this and that, and they're kind of speaking glowing. Like, I've seen these stories enough time to know that that dude ain't coming back as the fucking white knight on the horse. It's going to save the day. That dude's going to come back and just let you fucking down and disappoint you. So, all right.
Also, this
whole episode radar is working right now, baby. Yes.
The sus radar is definitely working for you. And this whole episode, we learn about I think it's the Eye of Sion, which is this, I guess, mechanism or spaceship that they're using to try to get Thrawn back. Now, I assume they're eventually that's going to be a success. We saw Thrawn in the fucking trailer. when they get thrown back, I don't see him being like teleported with Ezra, so they're going to have to get Ezra back in a different way. I think that's just a prediction, but I do think there's a chance a big reveal would happen where you take that fucking mask off and it's Ezra. And it's like, what? And that would be the moment where Twitter would explode.
Yep.
Explode. It would explode like the fucking Death Star or the Death Star 2 or Starkiller base.
Here
Pick
we go.
your fucking planet.
August 24th, put the stamp on. The Basement Boys call it. The fucking mask is coming off. It's Ezra. Explosion on Twitter, on X. Elon might rename it Twitter because X has been destroyed by the mask. That's the kind of stuff. Dude, Aya Scion, come on, Bob. That's a little too close.
That's
Aya
fucking
Scion,
Lord of Rings right there.
Lord of Rings shit right there. I don't like to say it, but it is.
So they, like I said, they meet her at this sort of monument. People are comparing it to the monument where Grogu sits and he does his little meditation thing. And I think the tragedy was the episode. She uses her Night Sister magic to unlock the ball. Giant projection globe kind of thing comes over it.
The
and it's
Night
like a map.
Sisters of Dathomir. I love that.
Dathomir is where Darth Maul's from as well.
Oh,
that's the Maul planet.
I'm guessing it's like a lot of fire, a lot of darkness, maybe a lot of sulfur on the planet. If I had
it's got like a green atmosphere almost to it. Like the sky is hazy and dark, and
it's green, and then there's a lot of red I'm seeing too here. There's some greens and some reds. Ooh, Dathomir, not a place. Like, I don't care what the prices are on Zillow. I am not moving to fucking Dathomir. If Big Cat moves to Dathomir next, no one's going to the next HQ with him. I'll tell you that right now.
No one's following him to Dathomir. Although I would love to see that in live action. I think it'd look really, really cool in live action. I think they could make it with the volume and shit.
Him and Big Cat hunting ghosts on Dathomir would be the only content they would be able to do because they'd just be getting haunted by ghosts based on the pictures I'm looking at. It's the scariest place in the fucking. These painted guys are from. Is the painted guys? Are they the witches?
Mall guys. Well, the paint with the bald ones.
Yeah, the bald ones.
They're the witches. They're girls.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. I didn't want to assume genders of
don't start offending witches on the podcast.
I
don't want witches coming after us.
I can't believe KFC just came on the podcast and offended them. I can't believe that was Kevin Clancy.
I know. He did the AI voice changer, made it sound like you and everything. Ahsoka goes to check out Sabine's apartment, kind of give it a scan after the attack last night, and she gets attacked by a leftover droid. So she dismantles it quick, but she takes the head. She also heard some Force echoes, something from the Jedi, Fallen Order, and Survivor video games. You could go over and hear like Force echoes in certain spots. So she brings this droid head back to Sabine, her tech genius in the hospital, for her to hack into it. So they hack into it and they find out that it's from a New Republic base on Corellia, Han Solo's home planet. And the next part of the episode, I have a feeling we're going to be aligned on this. Just a random shot in the dark. Did you feel that it was very similar to the Lizzo Jack Black Mandalorian episode?
Yes. Yep. Definitely.
Where we've got corrupt droids and we don't know if the people in charge of these droids are necessarily the best people because we're in a post-war world and, everyone from the Empire didn't get arrested. Some of them got disbanded and put into New Republic situations. It's a more serious version of that. It doesn't feel like an SNL skit with Jack Black and Lizzo and Baby Yoda. It's taken a little more seriously, a little more investigative where the Colonel is like he's being super dodgy. He's not listening to Hera, even though she's like the highest rank in the military. She's like, I could give you clearance for this. Just fucking tell me. He's like, I don't think I could do that. And we find out that they're actually powering things with a hyperdrive from a super star destroyer, which I think is pretty cool. I like seeing the post-war fallout in that way. How are they using the Empire technology now?
I love that shit. If they're using it for power, they're using it for money, whatever it may be. Think of like when Russia collapsed and you hear how they like sell tanks just to make money. And I had the same exact thing. Big Andor vibes with the old Imperial, or Mando vibes with the old Imperials, and changing them. And even like the Doctor, who we thought was sus, turns out he was actually kind of all right and making a change for the better. But same with the guy in this one who they were kind of, like you said, going at, and you just tell he was half truths, kind of like trying to skirt them, all their questions. Yeah. And then like for the Empire, and then they fucking
immediately, like because the protocol droid ratted him out, which watching that, there was a hint of jealousy. I wanted to be that protocol droid. I was like, oh, that could have been my perfect role right there.
Nothing like I like when protocol droids, you take the annoying or like kind of almost funny parts of C-3PO where they don't even pick up on the social cues. Like, no, this just happened right here. And it's like,
yeah, like, what are you talking about?
It's like when you're a parent, hypothetically speaking, and like you eat the last cookie, and then you're like 3-year-old's like, Daddy ate the cookie. I'm like, my God damn it, you're not supposed to know not to say that to your mom. So just hypothetically speaking, a scenario like that.
Hypothetically, yeah.
Hypothetically, the protocol droids are just like the little kids. They're so innocent because they don't know better. They just know their job and to report on what they see. And I was like, I kind of like that little twist on how they used it there.
And great casting on the Colonel, who just looked like a weasel. From the second I saw him, I was like, absolute weasel energy from this guy. I didn't trust him for a second.
Sus isn't even the word. It's just weasel. Like he can't be sus. It's like calling a weasel sus. No, he's a weasel. That's literally when you look it up in the dictionary. It's like an animal that acts like a weasel. Weasel.
That's like sus is almost complimenting a weasel. You know?
Yes. A sus weasel is a weasel that's good and nice and tells the truth.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. Are you really a weasel? Or are you someone that like varmint or something? Are you a ferret?
Still, one of the first things Big Cat ever said about me in the company. He's like, "Do you have a ferret?" I was like, "What?" He's like, "You just look like a kind of guy who would have a ferret." I was like, "Oh, motherfucker."
That's fucked up.
I had my Star Wars, belt buckle on. He was just roasting me. Speaking of roasting things, how about you roast some carrots over with Factor? Factor is some of the best stuff in the entire world. I'm telling you, I got some in my fridge right now that we're going to eat for dinner later on. With the busy fall season just looking around the corner, you might be looking for some wholesome, convenient meals for your jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. These are super easy to make. You throw them in the microwave for 2 minutes, 30 seconds. They're done. So you could take these on road trips, take them to hotels, take them wherever you need. Honestly, they even have options that you don't need the microwave for. They've got little things that you could take to lunch for work, and you don't need to heat them up at all. They're great. They've got meals ready in just 2 minutes. As I said, you could level them up with gourmet plus options prepared to perfection by chefs and ready to eat in record time. This is going to taste like stuff out of the bear. You're going to be like, oh my God, chef, this is tremendous. Chef. This August, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered directly to your door. Head to factormeals.com/Robbie50, ROBBIE50 to get 50% off. That's code Robbie50 at factormeals.com/Robbie50 to get 50% off. I would love for them to do some kind of weird Star Wars meal where basically you just make a regular Factor meal and you put blue food coloring in it.
Yep. I was going to say, give me the blue milk, baby.
Yeah. So the protocol droid rats him out. They all turn. Ahsoka immediately slices, the blaster off, slices the windows open, because now we realize this hyperdrive from the Super Star Destroyer, they're ready to fucking take. And they're like, oh, we're leaving the planet with this. They want to use it for the Eye of Sion, not the Eye of Sauron. Don't confuse those two. They want to use it for the Eye of Sion. So Ahsoka jumps out the window. She's got to go. Hera's got to chase it down. Ahsoka gets confronted by Marek. So that's she's, occupied basically. Hera and Chopper, first appearance of the guy Chopper, go after this hyperdrive in the Phantom. So the Phantom is a little side ship from the Ghost, which is the main Rebel ship that everyone loves. It's like the ship that the Guardians have that Thor goes and takes in Infinity War, basically.
Yes, good way to put it.
They go after that. Ahsoka's busy dealing with Marek, and we get what I think is a pretty fucking sweet lightsaber battle. It wasn't like next level badass, one of the best lightsaber battles, but it was really cool. It was unique in a lot of ways, the way Marek throws his double-sided lightsaber at Ahsoka, and then she just does the coolest fucking casual dodge. Oh, that immediately made me be like, oh, this is why we love Ahsoka. She's just a badass in that way. But they go after in the sky this hyperdrive, and Chopper throws a tracker on it. He gets it, and it is like a moment. It felt like when we destroyed that transport in the Millennium Falcon at Disney. We all were like, yeah, like when Chopper, because he's looking through what looks like a fucking junk drawer to find this. And she's like, come on, you got to find it. He throws it on there. They gets it on. And then Ahsoka bests Marek, but he gets away. So Marek, Ezra, I don't know. People are also saying Marek means wolf in some way, and Ezra has a very strong connection to the wolves on his home planet.
Ooh.
I'm gonna be upset if it's Ezra. I'm gonna be sad for my guy.
Well, speaking of my guy, it was nice to finally meet my guy, Chopper. I got to see him, and you said the guy Chopper. I don't know if that just slipped out on its own, Bob, but I can tell there is some real love for this guy.
He's our guy. Yeah,
he's delivered already. This fucking guy, Chopper is just like, yo, let's just fucking knock this fucking hyperdrive out of him and just murder the city of people below. Who gives a fuck? And you called him a war criminal. That's a war criminal line by my guy. He's flexing on people like a droid. I didn't know droids could flex. He's flexing. And
his little warbles voiced by Dave Filoni. It's like Dave Filoni's voice all distorted.
And the fact that he even looks like from what I've seen out of the little videos and GIFs of Chopper, they nailed the fucking Chopper casting too, based on everything I saw. So I am very excited. That was honestly, out of everything I saw, there was a lot of confusion, but Chopper is 1 for 1 so far. He's kind of just like, let's just do this. He's just fucking flying by the seat of his pants. I fucking love it, man. I cannot get enough of Chopper already.
I saw they added Ahsoka to Disney in Galaxy's Edge. So there's an actual actress like walking around like Mando now. They added her premiere day, just like Mando. Like they were really on it. I think they need Chopper as well. I want Chopper and R2-D2 like alongside each other, just like on a fucking boys trip going through Galaxy's Edge and Batuu. I would love to see that.
Oh, that would be incredible. The body count of Chopper and R2 just straight up coming through. Those are like I'm gonna have just my favorite characters. I have the Millennium Falcon, I have R2-D2, Chopper's gonna be there. It's gonna be all inanimate object. That sounds like the ship is awesome. I looked at pictures of it.
Yeah, the ghost is pretty sweet. Yeah,
it looks pretty good.
And the ghost it's cool. They've done like little nods to the ghost here and there. It's in Rise of Skywalker when all the ships show up at the end, and it's like it's not a navy, it's just people. The ghost is actually one of the ships in the background there. So I like the headcanon of like somebody from this ship survived at least until Rise of Skywalker and fought in that battle. I know not everyone loves the sequels, but just a little bit of connectivity is nice.
So that actually takes me to my one last gripe with all this. When the big thing that we're going after is a map, it took me back to a very dark time in my Star Wars fandom, which was Rise of Skywalker. Now, would you say Last Jedi was my darkest moment as a Star Wars fan because I was really so disappointed in it and it kind of it blew up the whole fan base? I guess. But Rise of Skywalker, almost nobody liked when it was all said and done. And like both sides of the fandom, the people who liked and didn't like Last Jedi, they were like, well, that wasn't what we were looking for there. And it was all about the map, the first like half hour of the movie or whatever it was. And then we're going after
The Force Awakens. The whole movie's about the map to Luke.
Yeah, that's right too. Oh, I forgot about that.
That was another thing that I saw some people bring up. I think maybe who brought it up on Twitter? Someone brought it up on Twitter and they were like, this is like the 4th time in X amount of years where we're doing a Star Wars project based on a map to so-and-so. It's the MacGuffin to a MacGuffin to a MacGuffin.
Yep.
So again, I loved the first 2 episodes, not without their faults. It was definitely the pacing thing that people are bringing up. I do think that's like a valid complaint in terms of there was a lot of like, all right, a lot of talking, and then an abrupt action scene out of nowhere, which I'm always okay with. I love all the action shit, but I think it's going to find its mark along the way. It's going to find its footing. Go ahead.
I compare it to, I remember the first few episodes of Andor, where it was like, I was confused. There was a lot of talking and then the action. And again, when you just said, is exactly what I was thinking. I was like, there was just a lot of dialogue. I was kind of winding down and start looking at the phone or something. And then boom, we got a fucking lightsaber. Yeah. We're doing lightsabers. What the fuck's going on right now? Again, you have to realize I am not used to a lot of lightsaber scenes. I had the Mandalorian where you have a couple here and there, the dark saber, but Andor, you're not doing lightsabers. And then this show, obviously, Ahsoka's a Jedi. So, excuse me.
I think every week we're getting it. Yeah, not a Jedi. But
not a Jedi. So it was just like, holy shit. But I was like, man, it seems like there's just a lot of talking. And I don't know if it's just because I'm clueless, but it's I guess that is also just how it's been. I
think they're trying to catch everyone up to the best they can on the history between these characters and stuff. I was also thinking, did they split them up to try to catch everyone up on their history? Like if we just jumped into, these are all Ahsoka's friends and she knows them all, would some people be confused as to like, why weren't these friends with her when we saw her in Book of Boba Fett or Mando?
Mm-hmm.
And you're playing to different audiences. It's hard. You're playing to the hardcores and you're playing to the majority of people who probably just know her from the live action stuff at this point.
Several years ago, we're saying several years ago,
yeah.
when that's the other thing, when they were talking about the people who took down the Empire, I'm like, are we talking Luke, Han Solo? Like, who are we representing here? These, and then I thought we were going to get Wedge. I thought Wedge was going to make an appearance. I didn't know what
that would have been nice.
Who their special guest was. So I do think it's just like Andor. They're taking off right now. You know, when you take off, you get those couple little bumps when you're just getting through the turbulence, and it's like everything's going to be smooth once we're up there. Again, I don't want to do it to the show. It's almost unfair, but like the goal, the bar to clear would be Andor. That is fucking, that's almost impossible to do because of how awesome it ended. If you can just try to get to that level and just, you know, have some nice smooth sailing once we get above the first few episodes of getting everyone caught up, I think we're going to be fine.
So we end the episode with Sabine cutting her hair, very much going back to a more Rebels-like look for her with the short hair, because she's got to pop that Mando helmet back on, and I don't think she wants long hair with it. She does grab all her old armor. It's a cool suit-up scene where she kind of places it all there. She reunites with Ahsoka to go after that hyperdrive, and then we see the hyperdrive being locked into that Eye of Sion. Balon is after Ahsoka. I don't think he fully wants to kill her. He's like, it's a shame. There's not many Jedi out there. I guess I'm going to have to kill this guy. But we end the episode on a note of like, hey, the Eye of Sion is almost done. Like, I think Thrawn's coming. And I hope he comes soon because I would love to see what he's like in live action. He's one of the best villains we've ever gotten in terms of the canon and history between Heir to the Empire and whatnot, and his books, the Zahn books. And then when they brought him in Rebels, same voice actor. It's the voice actor is the actual actor who's going to be playing him. I'm thrilled. I think this is a very, very, very good start to the show. A very good place to kick things off.
With Thrawn, I'm just listening to all you guys. You guys tell me how awesome he is, and I love me a good villain. That's very much the fact. So I'm excited for him. I'll give him some time to kind of get his balance as well as they're catching us up, while also, you know, being true to the story and the character. So I'm excited about that. I'm actually thinking though, we're dealing a lot of maps. Hyperdrives working, not working, and then Tatooine. That would be like basically 3 of the big boxes on Star Wars bingo. Let's mix things up a little bit, boys. But other than that, we're looking good. I'm very excited right now. I'll just say
I'd like to see some new planets as well. Like, even if they're planets from Rebels or the cartoons that we haven't seen in live action, let's mix up the settings.
Are we going to see some freaky witch shit at some point too? Is that fair?
I think
to
we
say?
are. Yeah, I think some
Okay.
freaky witch shit. Some rituals, I mean, the second episode is called Toil and Trouble.
Yeah,
like,
true.
Isn't that the whole Macbeth thing? Double, toil and trouble.
Wow. Bob Fox dropping fucking Macbeth lines on us here. I didn't see that come. And also, is it true? Is it true that you didn't become a Mandalorian because you didn't want to cut your hair? Is that a true rumor? I saw that on Twitter.
That's I was close. It was like a close decision, but then it was like
Lady Fox said no, keep the hair. She likes the hair.
It was basically like Baby Yoda when he had the lightsaber in front of him and the chainmail. I was like, you know what, lightsaber. But you know, everyone listening to this podcast, you fucking don't tell the Jedi Order about Lady Fox.
Yeah. Oh boy. I'm talking about Mrs. Fox, Mama Fox. Rob,
tell you what,
your hair, it's too nice.
Funny note to end this podcast on. My brother is friends with someone who in real life told a woman he had been dating for years that he could not marry her because Jedis don't get married.
Oh my God.
They're no longer together because he said, I'm a Jedi and Jedi don't get married. And that was it.
I mean, I thought Robbie was the craziest of the foxes. That guy's crazy like a fox. What the hell was
he's not even a nerd, to be honest. He just really loves like Star Wars. I think he truly, like, in his mind, I think he's like, I'm a Jedi, so I can't do that. You know, as part of the order.
In a sick way, I respect it. I'm clearly I'm not the girl he's talking about, because I'm guessing she didn't respect it very much.
No, she didn't like that. She did not like that. But like, yeah, it's a funny. Every time I think about this guy, yeah, he's Jedi.
That's so good. That's so good.
All right. Thank you to everyone for listening. Again, next week and the weeks coming, hopefully we'll have these up a little quicker because of the Tuesday night drops. We had the Barstool Awards and a bit of travel and whatnot, so we were a little late on this one. Thank you to everyone for staying patient with us, and we'll see you next week for more Ahsoka and hopefully a little more Thrawn.